Hey Wobble Gang, I do hope you are doing great. My name is Ollie. Hit that subscribe button if you love a good Reddit story. Alright, let's get into our first story of the day. Our first story of the day comes from Greatest Froman in the AmItheAsshole subreddit. And it says, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to walk her down the aisle or lie in a speech? I, 41 male, have 2 kids with my ex-wife, 42 female. A son, John, 22, and daughter, Sally, 20. I'm remarried to my wife, 28. I'm very close with my kids. My son is engaged to Abby. She seems nice, but has been a bit pushy trying to create relationships with me and my wife, though she's also awkward with her. Abby isn't close to her family. She told us many stories why, and while some of her complaints don't seem awful, it's not my place to judge, and I didn't live it, so I can't know anyway. We've tried to be welcoming, but Abby has forced her way into some family traditions where she wouldn't have been invited, and some where no one outside of specific family would have. She's been calling Sally sis since they were only dating a few months, has an odd sister/mother-in-law thing she does with my wife, and the one I'm not a fan of wants me to be like a father to her. Not because we've clicked or anything. We are very different people. Not saying that in a bad way, just saying it's not based on how we get along or anything. My kids and I have a tradition when they come over that we have a private catch-up in my office or study before they leave, which is now even more important to them because while they both get along well with my wife, they don't want to have personal conversations around her yet. Abby asked if we could talk, and after I explained the tradition, John later asked that I do it, saying she'd never had a caring conversation with her dad. We compromised that I didn't include her in the tradition, but do join the 2 of them for coffee and let her talk. Then she started calling me dad. They weren't even engaged yet. John pulled me aside and begged me to give her that. Laid this whole thing on me about me always being the dad she always wanted, right in front of her, and she just wanted that. Told me she cried watching me and Sally together. She still gives me random hugs. I'm a lucky dad. I didn't like it, but I do feel bad, so fine. I gave her that. She wants me to walk her down the aisle and the father-daughter dance. I don't want to walk her down. And I walk with a cane, so dancing is hard. At my own wedding, I only danced twice. John is begging for me to do one, preferably the aisle. They came over Sunday. John and I were talking. I thought to address it when Abby walked in without knocking, asking if he'd told me yet. I asked what. John said she wanted me to say something about having a second daughter now in my speech, and how I loved her. I just looked at him. She asked if I'd do the walk and dance for Sally. I said of course. She yelled she's my daughter too, and I said it will never be the same. Sally is my actual daughter. I tried to explain I'd talk about her being a happy addition to the family, and I love how happy she makes John, which I thought was a good compromise. But she started crying. John apologized and they left, but he called me when they were home, nearly begging me to. Am I the a-hole because I won't lie and say I love her, or she's my daughter? Alright, let's unpack this chaos, shall we? I mean, are we serious right now? The entitlement here is just outrageous. Listen, I get that Abby's in a tough spot with her own family, but her demands are off the charts. You can't just waltz into someone else's family and expect them to rearrange traditions and dynamics that have been built over years, you know? It's not like borrowing a cup of sugar from a neighbour. Abby clearly has some unresolved issues, and while it's incredibly generous for you to offer her kindness and inclusion, there's a line between being warm-hearted and being steamrolled. And the worst part is, John seems to be enabling this borderline delusion, thinking that emotional blackmail is the way to resolve things. Seriously? She wants you to walk her down the aisle and the father-daughter dance, yet seems to disregard the fact that these milestones are deeply personal and you shouldn't be guilted into them. And let's face it, calling you dad when you're barely acquainted is downright uncomfortable. So no, you're not the jerk here. You're being more than gracious. I know I'm not the only one seeing the madness in expecting someone to magically become dad. Drop your thoughts below, because this is a family drama rollercoaster on steroids.
A Reddit user says, not the a-hole. Abby can't force the relationship she missed out on as she was growing up, and that's what she's trying to do. Do not cave to her.
OP responds, John is the one is hard not to cave with, but she just makes it hard to hold a normal conversation because she loves to slide a dad in there or get too personal.
A Reddit user says,
No, no, no! Not the a-hole! Not the a-hole! Not the a-hole! Does your son have any idea what his future is going to look like? His bride-to-be is, at the very least, emotionally unstable and incredibly needy. Every time she has a whim, he's going to be on the phone begging you for something else. She's been unbelievably intrusive, ignoring how anyone else feels, and your son is not only allowing it, but abetting her behavior. You are obviously a nice guy and a loving father, but you have to start saying a loud and firm no. Do not let her continue calling you dad if it makes you uncomfortable. Do not give her version of a speech at the wedding. Above all else, do not walk her down the aisle. It's time for Abby to grow up and join the real world. Please encourage your son to reconsider marriage until Abby has had some serious therapy. This is beyond wanting to be a part of a family.
OP Pops responds, If not for the fact she hates artichokes, I'd wonder if this is my daughter. I kid, but you are saying the same thing she did when we talked a couple of days ago. She hates how much Abby pushes herself on me and has told John a few times to handle this. At first, I thought she wasn't listening. Now, I wonder if he actually has.
A Reddit user says, You lost me at my wife, 28 female. It's a little odd that you are so hung up on these traditions and a rigid family dynamic, but you married someone who is only 6 years older than your son.
OP responds, I'm hung up on these traditions because, as a parent, I love that my kids still want to continue the sweet traditions they started as children. I don't feel the need to defend my relationship. I'd agree you had a point if we'd been together for 6 years or something. But she was in her mid-20s when we met. My children like her. It has not been an issue.
Several weeks have passed since the initial post, where an older male grappled with his son's fiancée's unreasonable requests regarding family ties, leading to tension within their blended family. Now, the OP brings us an update, sharing the latest developments in this ongoing situation. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to walk her down the aisle or lie in a speech? I had planned on writing this sooner, but life got in the way in a couple of really good ways. People were helpful and asked for updates, and I have a surprise free day, so here it goes. Mother's Day. My kids and their partners go to visit my ex-wife. So it turns out my ex-wife and Abby are a lot closer than I realised. She calls her mum, which is part of where this comes from. Also, apparently my ex has been encouraging it. On Mother's Day, they were talking about the wedding, and I guess whenever Abby referred to me, it was as Dad. My son apparently told her to let it go, which led to yelling. Abby was about deserving to be my daughter, my ex telling her that she's right, my son telling her that I am trying and she should be realistic about things, and Sally telling her I only had one daughter, which was apparently a response to Abby saying to her that as my daughters, they should be united. According to my son, Abby was crying. According to Sally, she was crying and yelling and kicked something before going to her room. And Sally told me she went off on her mum but will not elaborate, so I don't know what was actually said. But knowing Sally, whew boy. Around 2 a.m., I got a text from Sally's partner's phone saying, Abby really is great. She hasn't been perfect, but you should give her a chance and you will learn to love her. I saw it when I woke up and tried to text her back, but was blocked. So I called Sally, but they were driving. They stopped by my place later that day because I am on the way and my daughter prefers my liquor and cooking. They told me about the night before. At the end, I asked to speak to her partner alone. I asked if I had done something to upset her. She was confused and I told her I was blocked. She said I wasn't, but checked her phone, and I was. I said it was after her message, and she asked what message. I showed her. It was not on her phone anymore. At that point, we brought in Sally and caught her up. Neither of them were happy. A couple of days later, John and Abby dropped by unannounced. Not something we really do in this family, but fine. I had salmon. It does not take long to cook. I cook 2 a.m. more, wife serves while I make drinks. The entire night was Abby trying to bring up the wedding. John trying to change the subject, and Abby not allowing that. We talked logistics because I am helping them get some good deals through some professional contacts I have. Finally, she just says, "So, I was talking to Mum. She said that you can walk me down the aisle and she'll do the dance, or you can dance and she'll walk. It's your call, but you need to choose soon." I reiterated that I could not dance. She tried arguing that I had danced a little at my wedding, but I made it clear that is different, and did not feel comfortable walking her. She got upset and said, "Mum loves me, why can't you?" I felt bad but couldn't lie. I pointed out that she had John who loved her, my ex-wife, friends. She had people who love her. She said, "But other than my ex-wife, those aren't my parents." I said, "Neither am I." She was very emotional, so my wife and I gave them a few minutes. My son and I were alone later. He looked exhausted. He said the problem was that after Mother's Day, Abby had called Sally and kept saying they are both my daughters, that I did not get to be close with one, but not both, and that it was them against me. But at that point, Sally cried havoc and let slip the dogs of war. Things were said, grievances were aired. John had to hang up before it got worse, but I guess Abby was shaken. There was a new problem. Abby had decided in her head that I did not mean what I've been saying and was just doing it for Sally. He told me he would handle it. Ron Howard. He did not. So now I get text messages from Abby every couple of days, acting like we have a secret relationship Sally doesn't know about. She even called herself my secret daughter and laughed out loud. She invited my wife to lunch saying, 2 out of 3 of his girls going out. She has even started using the pressure of showing up at events like a recent barbecue to play a certain image. She hugs me more and holds it, wants to do pictures with just me or my wife and I, but always a few with just me to post with captions I do not like. My wife is getting especially annoyed because of how she is with her. I guess Abby surprised her with Father's Day plans for me that had to be shut down. She still inserted herself into the day, but my wife has a soft spot for her. When Abby gets emotional, she caves. My wife is a sweetheart. I asked him if he is upset with me, and he said no. He just wished it was different. He said we're good, but he's worried he and Sally aren't, which is when I took the advice of some people and suggested premarital counselling. He said he would talk about it. Abby is insisting Sally go to her fitting. That shop should pay-per-view that potential Royal Rumble because Sally is not holding her feelings back anymore. I told him Sally loves him and I'll talk to her, but for now, it is stressful all round. Abby is driving my wife crazy with her ideas for what my girls should be doing. Driving me crazy with dad-daughter content, drove Sally to the edge and, oh yeah, last night sent me an email with 3 styles of father-daughter dances and song options. So, I'm not feeling any more respected or heard than before. The 6 of us have barely been in the same room in order to let things calm down since Father's Day, which was great until it was a mess. Sorry this is so long. With all the craziness, this is still the abridged version. We are supposed to meet Friday. Sally's partner and I have a bet going about how bad it will go. So onward and upward. I hope you fathers had a less dramatic day than I did. And, by any chance, does anyone know exactly how bad of a crime I need to commit to enter witness protection? Just curious. All right, let me just dive right into this absolute fiasco. So, we're back with an update from the emotionally chaotic saga of Abby and the weddings. I swear, I've seen soap operas with less drama. I mean, are we serious right now? Abby seems to be delusional in her attempts to cement a place in this family that's just not organically there. And the interference and encouragement from the ex-wife? Are you kidding me? The whole thing where she's texting like there's some secret relationship is beyond absurd. I can't even begin to fathom how this isn't bordering on some sort of emotional manipulation. The part that genuinely baffles me is that she expects a father-daughter dance and all the trimmings despite being told, politely, might I add, that it's just not going to happen. What is this alternate reality she's living in? And, bless his heart, but John seems absolutely powerless in this. Sally, though, she's caught in the crossfire, and I can just imagine the frustration venting from her. Can we talk about the emotional extortion that's happening to everyone involved, especially to your wife? 2 out of 3 of his girls, indeed. The sheer audacity. Honestly, I need to take a breather just thinking about it. Drop your thoughts below, because if this isn't a whirlwind of ridiculous expectations and boundary overstepping, I don't know what is. Unbelievable, honestly.
A Reddit user says, I can't believe your son is naive enough to still want to marry this walking red flag. At this point, you need to have a conversation with your son. Tell him that his fiancée is making you, your wife, and his sister extremely uncomfortable, and that you have serious concerns about her emotional stability because of her inability to accept boundaries and being told no. I would also tell him that if she doesn't back off as soon as possible, you will enforce your boundaries physically by not attending events she's at or inviting her to your events. Personally, I would tell my son I won't attend the wedding because I can't support him marrying someone so toxic, but that my door is open to help him escape her once he's ready. I know not everyone could or would do that, but I would if it was one of my kids. And witness protection is for witnesses of big crimes, not really those who commit them. You'd be better off just pretending to be unalived and running away. Laugh out loud.
OP responds, the shame is we used to sort of like her, my daughter, my wife, and myself. Early on, she was interesting. She had diverse interests and had traveled a lot for her age. She and I even have overlap in musical taste. The problem was when she decided she wanted this, her personality changed. She started getting pushy, changing subjects to what she wanted, if they were subjects she liked. It was like everything was put on hold until we acquiesced, which we haven't, so it has not gone on. You make a good point about witness protection. Plus, I have been meaning to take up location tracker-free boating and scuba diving in sharky waters.
A Reddit user says, did you tell your son about the fake message from Sally's partner and the blocking? I don't know that you ever confirmed that Abby did it, but that is another level of crazy from just inserting herself into your life.
OPO responds, I do not think confirmation is possible, but her phone was where Abby would have been able to get it, according to Sally. Sally asked to be the one to tell him. This is crazy, but with everything going on, job stuff, great news, family stuff, best news, wedding stuff, I try to watch my drinking, and the family exploding a bit at Father's Day, I honestly forgot to ask her what happened. I have to call her later. It's funny, until you sit down and write everything out, you don't realize how much there is. It just feels like one thing after another. A Reddit user says, not the arsehole, that Abby needs serious mental health help. This is beyond a little needy to downright pathological. What's going to happen when she finally realizes she is not going to get her way? Someone's going to get hurt. Your daughter and her partner need to step back and not engage at all, and you and your wife should attempt to do the same. Tell your son you love him and will do your best to support him, but until Abby gets help, you cannot allow her to be around you and your wife. I wouldn't be surprised if Abby has a history of this type of behavior with others in her past.
OP responds, I do not know her well enough to understand her history, but this does worry me, especially since my wife and I recently received some good news that has me feeling particularly protective of her. My wife finds it difficult to cut contact since they occasionally meet up. I pointed out that she needs to take care of herself, and Abby has my ex-wife as a mother figure now, so she should feel relieved of that responsibility.
A few months later, the OP brings us an important update on his ongoing struggles with Abby, stating, I have received requests for updates on my situation, and as I enjoy a refreshing mojito and my wife her nojito, life feels good. It seems like the perfect time to amuse the world with my pain and familial drama. Plus, a cousin of mine who apparently reads these and knows my situation gave me the convincing argument of, dude, you can't keep people hanging. And how can I argue with that airtight argument? I apologize for how long this is. A lot has happened. My wife's pregnancy is going well. Keeping her as stress-free and pampered as possible has been my focus. It is such a different experience this time, both because of how much more involved I can be and how much better a relationship I have with my wife than I had with my ex. My daughter Sally has been great. Even her partner has been great, helping with the nursery or driving her around when I can't. My wife doesn't know because it is a surprise, but my son has been building a crib for the baby, modelled after the one I built for him and his sister to show my wife his support. My son is a good man, and he is still in there. He just has a soft spot for Abby. Which, I guess, gets us to the part of the movie where Godzilla shows up and starts busting up buildings. So I called a family meeting with my kids to talk about the situation. I told John his sister was only doing wedding activities she wanted to, and that the guilting requests needed to stop, as it was hurting his relationship with his sister. Sally was happy I said it, so she did not have to yet again. I told him if he did not stop her from messaging me, I would block her with a bluntly honest explanation why. We got a lot out. John seemed to understand, but then, a few days later, they insisted on coming to talk. Sally and I decided we would get everything out. So, all of us ate at our place. Abby started in immediately about baby shower stuff, and I told her that is the kind of thing we wanted to talk about. I told her that I understood she has been trying to fill a hole that she has, that she thought she was getting a father, a second mother. She calls my ex-wife Mum, apparently, and a sister. I told her it was still possible, but that she needed to start listening to us. I told her that for the sake of family, we would give her a fresh start, if she agreed that moving forward, she would respect our boundaries. My daughter did not love this idea, but loves her brother and was willing to try. Abby tried to say that since we were starting over, we could define what the relationship would be and just be family. We told her we were not ready for that it needs to happen organically. She got mad that I'm closer with my daughter's partner, which is true, but we just get along, and that she deserved it for trying so hard. My daughter said something about trying things we actually want. She ran to our bathroom, he ran after her. After a while, I checked on him. I could hear her repeating, "This is not what I wanted." My wife, daughter, and her partner went out to the patio to give them privacy and salvage the night. After a bit, I got a text saying they had just left. I checked in with him the next day, and he said they talked more at home and she understood. For a couple of weeks, things were good. The text stopped, except for the occasional wedding question, since it was getting closer. She stopped pushing herself on my wife and Sally, and we thought she was involving us less in wedding planning out of respect, since as it was, they only got the venue at the rate they did because of my professional connections. They know I was willing to help, but not interested in helping plan, even if I am good at event planning. But then I got a call from the venue telling me the card I used had been declined. Now this is a specific card I use for big purchases because of the miles, so I knew it had a high limit. That was how I learned that they had changed dates by 2 months, despite being informed I would still be out much of the money because it was too close to the date. I was furious. I mean, I have been lucky in life financially, but I am not blow-off deposits like nothing wealthy. I called my son, said he needed to get to the house, just him. They both came. When they arrived, I opened the door. She actually started with, "Dad!" I think I just replied, "You have got to be effing kidding me," and walked toward the table. Abby had the nerve to ask where dinner was. My response was not polite, as I made it clear that was not why they were here. I hoped my son would not lie to me, so I asked what was going on with the venue. She started going into wedding details, but my son interrupted to tell me they postponed because my ex-wife was unavailable due to a surgery. He had not told me because he was putting money together to pay the lost money himself, and he had just reached out to guests to let them know.
And that is when Abby's mouth opened.
"We have extra time to work on our dance." Now, during this time, my wife came home and I was walking her toward the bedroom when Abby said that. My pregnant wife with me, I said calmly, "I have different feelings about that and will elaborate further shortly," or something like that. Then I laid my wife down, got her water, turned on her symphonic covers of popular songs, and walked back to the table and said something like, "You are out of your effing mind. Have you even been listening?" I made it clear I was done with this nonsense. We all were, and kind of lost it, asking if she did not hear us last time because her head was up her ass. She was stunned silent. What a beautiful sound. and looked at me while I, admittedly with little filter, explained what Sally and I thought of our time with her and her attempts to force us to love her without even getting to know us. She started crying and stood up and shouted, "Then what was this even for?" John asked what she meant, if she meant them, and he started to freak out. She was frantic and said she meant delaying the wedding. Because, and I'm pouring another drink to write this, it was a ploy. My ex-wife and she decided if I had more time, I would come around. Apparently, my ex told her not to worry about the money because I am loaded. She has always been bitter I make so much more than I did when we were married, as if that is out of spite rather than my career arc. I think she did that on purpose, frankly. But she not only told me that lie, she and my ex told John as well. He was distraught, repeating, "You lied to me," as she tried to spin it. But he was letting it out about how much he has defended her and covered for her, and she lied to him too. She was defensive and blamed my ex for telling her things and me for being stubborn. She yelled, "Why can't I just effing call him Dad?" And finally, after so long, I heard John respond, "Because he is not your effing dad." She started crying, and something about his being the one that told her she could call me that. And he said he told her she might be able to eventually, but he had told her again and again to slow down. She started sobbing and went to sit on her chair, but missed and fell on the floor. Appreciating physical humor to break the tension, I admittedly chuckled and hid my mouth behind my drink. This all led to a lot of sobbing. I said I needed to check on my wife, and as I walked out, she was repeating, "I just want him to be my dad too." I came out, and he was walking her to the door and apologized. I said not to. They left. He came over a few days later and said they had a long talk at home. He even asked her if she would have dated him if there was never a chance of being in the family. He believed her when she said yes, but she admitted I was a big draw as well. I was the kind of dad she always wanted. My relationship with Sally is what she always wanted. And the way she said it gave John doubts that she loves him for him. I talked about marriage counselling, how his mother and I tried it and, while it did not save us, it provided clarity and an impartial voice. I pointed out they both like coming to me, but I cannot be impartial, and if they are trying, then they need to do it for real. Abby texted asking if I was the one who suggested therapy. I responded with, "Does it matter if John wants to?" She asked why it is so bad she wants to know what I think, and I just said, John is the man whose opinion should matter most to her. They fought due to the text. She agreed to the counselling, and the wedding has been postponed. I may have done a dance. So they are in counselling. He said she struggles, but I obviously do not know details. She is pressing for me and Sally to go to a session with her. Sally told her she did not want to hear Sally unfiltered, and I am not interested. Abby has been leaving Sally alone. She stopped texting me except for the occasional general question, which includes some attempt to go deeper. My wife still occasionally spends time with her because she is very into her pregnancy, more so than I like. But it is my wife's call. So that is where we are. Sorry it was so long, but alcohol makes for a poor editor.
Someone says, "What's it gonna take before your son wakes up and realizes that this is not the person he wants to spend the rest of his life with? She sounds unhinged. Not the a-hole. Please update me."
OPPOS responds, "He seems to at least be looking at her more honestly now. I am hoping counseling helps him get there."
Weeks later, the OP comes with an update, and it says, "I was told I should do updates here. People have been asking me to, and to get into what went down on Father's Day and at their mother's house. I have been extremely busy these last few months, but I am enjoying my temporary unemployment and thought of this account because of recent Thanksgiving drama. I will do an update and then we'll share what happened earlier. Oh, and to whomever made the joke that Abby finally got me to dance, that made me laugh. I shared that with the family. My time has been largely spent caring for my wife. I tend to dote, I know. We are having a boy! We are really excited, though neither of us really had a gender preference. I have raised both, and both experiences were wonderful. Now we are discussing names and who we are going to honour. I thought everything had been quiet, but I recently found my wife crying and found out I was wrong. Given how busy I've been with work, and my wife knowing I would be free again once we got into this month, my wife has kept this to herself. Apparently, Abby has been pushing for one Thanksgiving this year. Things have been quiet with Abby. My son said the wedding blowing up woke her up and that therapy had been helping. But then this. My understanding is that while John has been talking less with his mother because of all that happened, Abby did the opposite. From my wife's telling, Abby dropped by one day with my ex-wife. My wife intensely dislikes my ex-wife because of the lies she spread about my first marriage ending due to infidelity with her, despite there being no infidelity and the linear nature of time making it impossible for us to have slept together back then. Before anyone asks, my ex-wife does not actually think there was infidelity. I would get into that, but I'm sure I would sound biased. Anyway, so my wife looked at our camera app, saw who it was, and called my daughter. Apparently, the two of them were keeping things from me because I was working 18-hour days, and they did not want me dealing with anything else. I wish they had not done that, but I appreciate the thought. I'm really lucky to have such caring people around me. My daughter called her mum and said something that made them leave in a hurry. She will not tell me what, but she smiles when I ask. I called John, but he was dealing with some hard work news, so I was just there for him and left the other alone. The next day, Abby came back, alone this time. My wife saw it was her and asked her what she wanted through the door. Abby said she wanted to apologize. My wife let her in, she is too nice, and after a nice talk, Abby asked about the whole family getting together for Thanksgiving. My wife said, of course, she assumed as much. A couple of days later, in our group chat, we were discussing details, who brings what, and Abby asked what else was needed. I said John already committed, and she asked what about my ex-wife? What should she bring? In the time I have known Abby, she has never made an intentional joke that funny, so I asked what she was talking about. She mentioned the whole family comment, and my daughter and I both asked what made her think we counted her as family. She actually replied, "She is my family. I don't have a dad who wants me, just a mum, and my mum deserves to be with family on Thanksgiving." Sally replied, "Well, we'll miss you and John then." Abby asks how she can say that. Sally asks how she can be so stupid. John says not to call her stupid, and I say that is fair, but there is no real way she thought my wife meant my ex-wife. At this point, my wife had filled me in. And then, this is so stupid. She uses my son's phone to add my ex-wife to the group chat. She then thanks us for the invitation and asks what she can bring. As I was typing, my daughter beats me to it and asks what she thinks she is doing. She knows she is not welcome, but says it less politely. My wife types, "You could not have thought she was included when I said family." Abby responded that she was not coming as my family, but as hers. Sally let her mum have it. She is already not talking to her much and said if my ex-wife is there, then she is not. I mentioned there was never a chance the ex-wife was going to come and said I understand Abby and John wanting to go to their mum's house so she is not alone. John typed, "Plans not definite, will let you know." He has since told me that he is not going to go to his mum's place, but wanted to tell Abby alone first. All I can think about is the comment about not having a dad who wants her because it means she is still thinking about me as a dad, I believe. Just a negligent one. I mentioned that to my son, and he said he noticed it too and had brought it up at therapy because family is such a frequent topic, though I obviously do not know details. Wow, I thought this would be brief, but that was a lot. I will get into the crazy stories later if there are people seeing this who want me to. I do not know how posting from here works in terms of anyone seeing it, but this has been good to get out.
A Reddit user says,
So Abby is still quite unstable and your son still hasn't realized it. Please say you're having honest talks with your son about her. I feel like this is getting to the point of danger if he continues prolonging this relationship. She is really unbalanced. Therapy is not working. I love your daughter more with each post. She has no filter. Some people only respond to those without a filter. Wishing your wife well and a happy pregnancy and birth. It should be an interesting holiday season in your household. OPO responds. His sister and I had a serious conversation with him a little after everything blew up.
It seems to be what inspired both his demand for counseling and putting the marriage on hold. He is better about seeing her honestly. His sister said something about Abby having similarities to their mother, which would have been fighting words from anyone else, and I saw the temper that rarely comes out. But then he listened because she clearly put thought into it. I never thought about it. I'm proud to have kids smarter than me. I know my boy doesn't come off as a genius in these posts, and fair enough in that department. However, professionally, he is brilliant. She laid her reasoning out in excruciating detail. He listened, though, because she was not enjoying it at all. It was sincere. Some seem to have clicked because since that talk, he has been different with her. I just am not getting my hopes up.
Weeks later, the OP comes with an update and it says,
I do not have time to elaborate right now, but I am so excited I had to share this.
Thanksgiving went so badly that my son called off the engagement itself and is now going to stay at our place while he figures out his next step. He came over Sunday night exhausted and asked if he could use the guest room. We talked for a couple of hours. I understand a bit more why he felt trapped now, but he realizes if she does not see her issues, then he cannot help her with them. I am taking him and his sister for a fun day on Saturday to just have some fun. He looks so tired and just needs some joy. Hopefully, while yes, things are messy, he is moving in a better direction for himself. People here have been great and genuinely seem to be rooting for him, which I appreciate. So I just thought I would share the good news. Happy holidays, especially mine, as he told her she was not invited.
Months have passed since our last update, where we learned about a middle-aged man supporting his son after a tough engagement. Now, the OP returns with an update, and it says,
Life has been busy, but great, and I've received numerous requests for an update. The people here have been really supportive, so I figured it was time to share.
To start, my wife and I have a delightful little one who sleeps like a potato. He has brought us immense happiness. Despite being sleep deprived, my wife is the happiest I've ever seen her. I took paternity leave, and then various family members stepped in to help my wife. My kids have been wonderful in helping out, and my daughter has been having fun with her brother for the first time in a while. I won't go into details because my wife would prefer privacy, but I will say there was a scare late in her pregnancy. This incident led to my kids being very supportive of her, and they have continued to be ever since. They even involved themselves in organising a Mother's Day celebration for her. My wife absolutely loves it. She really feels the love. My kids are doing great. Exciting news is that my daughter and her partner are engaged. They have a very specific idea of what they want for the wedding, and I've been asked to walk both of them down the aisle. That was overwhelming for me. I'm not usually one to cry, but I admit I shed some happy tears while we hugged. My daughter asked my son to be her best man. Both of them will have a best man and maid of honor, which makes me incredibly happy because I don't think he would have been her choice a year ago. They are definitely getting their relationship back to normal. My son faced work issues due to federal cuts and had to change jobs, but he is much happier now.
I used money I had saved for his wedding to buy him a getaway trip. Given the job stress following the personal stress he dealt with, my kid needed time away.
No Abby, no job stress, just a break from family. I think we're a great bunch, but we do spend a lot of time together, and I figured he might need a week away from us too. It wasn't easy for him to separate from Abby. She and his mother made it difficult. My ex-wife tried to reach him through Abby, but my son wouldn't entertain it, especially after a public scene at his old job. It was a public-facing position with his office info online. That really embarrassed him. She would never dare to do that to Sally. Neither of my kids have any contact with her. Abby made several dramatic attempts to win my son back, but he was clear with her. She's been out of his life and he is visibly relaxed. He is living in a new place, close to his new job. He even mentioned putting himself out there recently. A few months ago, a young woman joined our shop. She is very personable, funny, and attractive. Our work involves receptions and socializing, so I've gotten to know her a bit. She seems fun. She has mentioned dating and being single a few times when we've chatted, so I asked my son if he would be open to her getting his number if she was interested, and he agreed. They have gone out a couple of times. Although it doesn't seem like a perfect match, when he talked about how attractive she was, I could see he was enjoying meeting new women again, which was all I hoped for. It encouraged him to go out again and gave him some confidence back. So to me, it was successful no matter the outcome.
Overall, things are really good, and there's going to be a wedding. I've been helping to plan it, all according to their ideas, of course. It feels like we've gone through something profound together. Now I'm here just overflowing with joy and pride. Our little one, the upcoming wedding, and my son smiling consistently again. I really appreciate all of you wonderful people and your good advice and well-wishing. Life is so much easier now. Babies require time, but they are free of drama.
Oh my, this update is like a breath of fresh air amidst the chaos of life.
Seriously, seeing that everything has fallen into place for OP is like watching a drama that ended happily ever after. I mean, the warmth and unity in this family is almost too good to be true, isn't it? Now, let me tell you, a new baby in the house, referred to endearingly as an adorable sleeping potato, and the joy that brings, it's just blissful, isn't it? And then the family dynamics, absolutely heartwarming. The kids rallying together for their mum during challenging times. You couldn't script something more touching if you tried. And speaking of touching, being asked to walk both your daughter and her partner down the aisle must have made your heart swell 10 times larger. That's the kind of emotion that almost makes you think you've stumbled into a fictional fairy tale, for crying out loud. And let's not forget the transformation of OP's son, leaving behind the baggage, especially that public melodrama with Abby, and stepping into a new chapter. It's like shedding an old skin, emerging positively radiant and full of life. His openness to new relationships, even if not perfect, shows growth and newfound independence. But you know what? It's these moments, the weddings, the new job thrills, the baby giggles, that ground us. It's where we find that life isn't just surviving, it's about thriving together as a family. Absolutely uplifting stuff. If you're out there reading this and feeling the love like I do, drop your thoughts down below because, wow, doesn't this just restore your faith in happy endings?
A Reddit user says, "What a positive update. Glad to hear everyone is doing well. Any chance you could elaborate on your lady post on what happened during or after Thanksgiving?"
OP responds, "For Thanksgiving, it was my wife and I, Sally and her partner, a couple of friends of my kids who do not have much family and were basically adopted when they were all teens. And John, he just wanted quiet and thought Abby and his mother were eating with her group. About an hour into it, the doorbell started ringing emphatically. I looked through the peephole. My ex-wife and Abby were standing there. Abby had a half pan of macaroni and cheese, and my ex-wife, for some reason, had a bag from fast food, but was holding it like it was her contribution. I called for my son and told him to deal with them. He opened the door and his mum said hello so pleasantly and tried to walk past him, but he stopped her. Abby said the entire family needed to be together and my son just told her to stop it and asked for a minute with them. So I went inside and told everyone, rightly worried about how Sally would react. She got up, marched toward the door, opened it, and just unloaded. Her partner was right behind her, but was pulling up video on her phone. It was something like, "What the hell is wrong with you, crazy manipulative?" And just years' worth of held-in anger was projectile vomited over my ex-wife and Abby, and then ex-wife again. My ex-wife got so mad she yelled, "Shut up!" grabbed the Pyrex that the mac and cheese was in and threw it down. I assume expecting it to shatter. It just went thud and was intact, though cracked it looked like. Everyone was silent and she just picked it up. I admit I laughed at that, so I stepped in. My laughing started to set my ex-wife off, but my son jumped in, not yelling, but firm. He told her he did not know if he wanted anything to do with her anymore, but if she did not back off, the answer was no for sure. He looked at Abby and asked her why she keeps doing this and how it has not gotten through her head. With that, he said, "What is wrong with you? I really am asking." He pointed out what he said to her versus what she kept doing. She started sobbing, turned, slapped my ex-wife, and ran to their car and drove away, stranding my ex-wife, who had the nerve to chuckle, say,
That was an overreaction, and asked my son for a ride home. My kids told her she could not even use their lift apps. She kept arguing about coming inside. I pointed out it was a safe neighborhood with a park nearby she could wait at. I knew it was petty, but I said, "Hold on, I do want to help." So I went to the kitchen, got a spoon, went back and stuck it in the macaroni and cheese, and told her that way she could eat while she ate. My kids laughed, so I sent them in so it would not escalate even more, and I stepped outside and shut the door behind me, making it very clear that she was not to come back, and said some other select words. She was clearly about to yell, so I pointed out it was a quiet neighborhood and that would likely get the police called. She stomped away, and I have not seen her since.
A month later, the OP comes with an update, sharing more about how his family's journey continues to unfold, and he states,
This will probably be my last one of these because everything is normal and good again. My daughter's wedding is pretty well planned. It's going to be relaxed and small, with 40 to 50 people. My daughter is so happy with the location and how it is going, and it makes me so happy. Seeing her so happy, this is the best feeling and exactly what a wedding should be. Plus, my daughter has really taken to my wife helping plan it. She has a good eye for design, and it has given her something to focus on that is not our little one. Her partner joined me on an overnight fishing trip recently. We got to drink and bond. She told me that she wanted me to walk her down the aisle too. I told her I already agreed to it. She was checking that my yes was sincere and not just to be nice. I told her our family is better because of her joining it, and that I was deeply honored that she wanted me to. We hugged, drank, and talked about how wonderful my daughter is. It really is a feeling of peace to see your child with someone who is great, and who respects as well as cares for them. I know they have discussed adoption eventually. They would be wonderful parents, and my son would be a great uncle. That was my smooth transition to my son. He is doing well. He is dating a woman he met at my synagogue at a singles event. She seems very sweet. She teaches in the Hebrew school, and they have gone out a few times. I am just happy he seems his old self, like before Abby. So to Abby. She is engaged and someone else's problem.
My son still has some friends in common with her, and someone let him know.
He did not want any details, but my daughter, to no one's surprise, went online with a fake account onto social media. I came home one day to her and my wife going through her pictures and posts. They have been in love for 150 years. It is the truest love of all loves, that since the invention of the kiss, there have been 5 kisses rated the most passionate, the most pure, and that they left them all behind. The guy looks like an older and balder version of my son, to the point that when my daughter showed him to me, she said, "Look, John really let himself go." I tapped out of looking at more, but I can tell you that her pictures have several of her with the guy's father, and yes, they have captions about her dad. May God have mercy on his soul. I feel like the guy from the beginning of It Follows, foisting her on a different father to save myself and my family. But what can I say? We did not have to outrun Abby, just outrun a different father.
A Reddit user says, "What a happy ending to this saga. And Besha'a Tova to you all. Also love the Princess Bride reference." OP responds, "I'm happy that people know the reference. I still love that movie." A Reddit user says, "Woohoo! After a hard day at work, this is the update I needed. Thank you, sir." Now, we may be done with Abby. However, we're invested. You've made your family we feel like we know them. We want to know how the baby is doing, how the wedding goes, how beautiful the girls look, and how John gets on with his new girl. We may not need updates daily, but maybe every so often wouldn't hurt. OP responds, "That is very nice of you to say. Honestly, I was not going to bother with more, but so many people have mentioned a post-wedding update that I feel I should after how helpful people have been. Our little man is great. I did not miss teething. I did miss baby laughs. My wife is good. There were some physical side effects from the birth, but she worked with her team and is fine now. Actually, she is incredibly happy. Wedding planning continues unabated. An amazing thing has happened. My daughter, who has been honest about how it hurts that she does not have a mom who could be there,
has started getting closer to my wife. They never had a mother-daughter aspect to their relationship, not surprisingly, but have always gotten along. But my wife's excited offers to help with ideas were met positively, and when Sally went looking at dresses or suits to wear, she asked my wife to attend. She played it cool, but cried for joy that night. They have been getting closer. Then we saw my daughter's wedding breakdown, and it said father of the bride by my name and stepmother of the bride by my wife's name. Sally has always referred to her as my dad's wife, never stepmother. More happy tears. This was an unexpected bonus. I hope you are having good things in your life as well. We could all just use some calm times with good people.
A Reddit user says, I know you said this is the last, and in a way it is, but please at least come back and tell us about the wedding. I bet it will be perfect. Please prove me right. OP Pops responds, I have had a couple of people ask about that. I had not planned on it, but people here have been so great that I will try to remember to. The planning has been so much fun. My wife and I have been invited to be a part of the planning more than I expected. It has been great for my wife, who is kind of playing the role of mother of the bride, and my daughter is having fun with it. For obvious reasons, my daughter has never thought of my wife as a mother figure, but I think not having her mom involved in the wedding has made her open to my wife in a new way. She has been dress and suit shopping with her, and they have been doing a lot together. Obviously, my wife lets her take the lead and does not push that, but she loves it, and I do too. Truly, I am so blessed.
You see, folks, this kind of story is what makes you sit back and think, wow, life really is a roller coaster, isn't it? Just when you think you're sorted, bam, life says, wait, here's a plot twist. It's touching to see everything falling into place for this family. A loving daughter's wedding, a son moving on, the in-laws being, well, actually enjoyable. Oh, and Abby? Oh, the drama, right? But like I said, life finds its way of spinning tales with unexpected endings. Anyway, enough about me rambling on about these stories. If any of this hit you emotionally, you know you've got to hit that like button or drop a comment below, because let's face it, we need to trade reactions, don't we? What about the other crazy tales I've talked about? They should be popping up on your screens now. Go ahead, click them. Feel that cathartic release of knowing drama has a bizarre way of resolving itself. Until next time, cheers!